Hello. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon to the last episode for the year 2018 of Ask Dr. Lulu. For all of you who have been faithful to me and my message and my special brand of it, I want to say a big old thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you from the bottom of the heart of a woman who took a chance. A woman who dared to be, who dared to speak, who dared to empower, who dared to want to teach and change lives. Thank you all so much. I do get emotional easily. I'll try not to be emotional today. But I was looking at my videos from June when I first started. I think it was June 21st or something when I first started. And I looked at the growth and the change and just the unique meanness and all of the messages that I've put out there. And I went to my YouTube channel and I looked, and I still have only 25 subscribers. But you know what? I am the little engine that can and could and will. If you're watching me today, give me a thumbs up if you've loved anything that I've done, any of the messages that I've put out there. For being, even just for watching me right now, I want to say a big old thank you. My name is Dr. Lulu. My friends call me Uche. My colleagues call me Dr. Ume. And the best of me call me Mom. I'm a momatrician. I'm a child, teen, and young adult expert. I dared to step outside of my comfort zone in September of this year, and I quit my $200,000 a year job to $200,000 a year job to speak openly about a topic that most people won't touch: depression and suicide in the youngest of us all. In the youngest of us all, children, teenagers, and young adults. And if you've known me, you know my passion, you know my truth, you know where my heart belongs. And thank you so much for being there with me in the last 6 months. I didn't think I could do it. Special thanks to my I want to call her my business coach, for lack of a better word. She's more of a friend, Dr. Una. She made me do this. She actually made me do this. And it's amazing when someone sees something in you and tells you you can do it. But it's even more amazing when you listen and you actually do that which they think that you can do, which they see in you. She said, I see you as a speaker. I've always been a talker, right? And any talker loves a good audience. But I didn't think I could be a speaker, if you know what I mean, actually have a message and deliver the message. And it's been amazing. The past 6 months have been just amazing. I have had a strong followership. I'm not Oprah. I'm not Ellen. I'm not Michelle Obama, because I'm me already, uniquely me, phenomenally me, a warrior, an Amazon, a fighter, the little engine that cooled. But I couldn't have done any of that without all of you. And so I want to say a big, ginormous thank you again. Last episode for the year 2018. But we're going to come back next year. We're going to be bigger and better and badder, So I went ahead and looked at my old videos and I was like, what do I talk about today? It's been a very emotional year. It's been a very fruitful year, a year of learning for me. Lots of new things, new avenues, just newness, just amazing. So my name is Dr. Lulu. Every Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m., come rain or shine, I will be here talking to you guys, because you guys have made it possible for me, because you've listened. So I'm going to take a moment to say a big shout out to those who are watching. Courtney Pete Veras, buenas tardes. Lenient Izehi Okpebele, oh my God, Izehi, from way back, thank you. Lydia Alta, my senior from high school, thank you. Jania, the fire starter, my girl. I actually am the spark lighter. I didn't tell you this, but I watched, Jania, I'm talking to you now. I watched Tupac Shakur's biographical movie, and he kind of was narrating the movie, and the last things he said in that movie was, "I may not change the world, but I'll light the spark." And I think I stole that from him. So I know you're a fire starter, but I never told you that I'm a spark igniter. I just want to ignite. I just want to start. I just want to kind of kickstart it a little bit, just like the spark. And so, Jania, thank you for your friendship. It's been amazing. Mfon Udokbo, my aunt, from when I was a child, from when I was a baby. You've known me from when I could, I think, talk. Thank you for being faithful and always being there for me every Sunday. And just, just being there for me, my just presence with me along my journey on social media. If I cry today, I think it's worth it because I'm a crybaby anyway, for those of you who know me. So big thank you to you, Auntie, for always being there. Sandy Mendel, talk about people that have been there for me. Sandy, you were there during our training, COT Class 1206 in the Air Force. You know, I was commander. I was just commander by accident, but I know I rocked that and I pulled it off and I slayed. And so thank you, Sandy, for being there for me. Ngozi Osu, kind of new in my life, in my circle, but thank you also for being there and cheering me on. You are going to be with me during my journey, I think bigly in 2019. So I'm looking forward to that. Cheers to that. Jose Armando Garcia, my nurse from Community Care. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, everyone. Elise, my girl. Last but not the least, definitely, you're coming in from Ask Dr. Lulu page, so thank you. For those of you who have not liked my Dr. Lulu page, please do that for me. And if you're watching me today, please take a moment to like my YouTube channel. My son said, "Mom, wow, you've done so well. You only have 25 likes. Come on, guys, give a sister some love. Ask Dr. Lulu on YouTube. Just click subscribe, right? That's the word for YouTube, is subscribe. Can a sister get some love from that angle? And of course, my baby, my life, my heart, my blog. Words by Black Butterfly. Listen, if you haven't subscribed to my blog yet, you are missing out on a lot of good stuff. I call it my kitchen of goodness, bigly. I'm a wordsmith, I'm a storyteller. I tell my stories on my blog. Subscribe, will you? Give a sister some love. Ellie Snacks, Ellie says she's going to go to my YouTube today. You see, this is what I'm talking about. I don't want to put a hate message on Facebook. I've seen some people put hate messages on Facebook and they got subscriptions. That's not what I'm about. I'm going to ask you all, like I always ask you, just do a sister a favor. Go to my YouTube page, like it, subscribe. It's the same videos, but you get to put comments. It's good. You get to just kind of interact with me on that level, which I like. No, I'm not too big on Instagram yet. I'm learning, I'm old also, plus I'm in school. So there's only so much I can do. But the Facebook, y'all have been so faithful to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. My message today is going to be pretty straightforward. Oh my God, everyone is joining in. Tracy Van Field, relatively new also. Thank you so much. Season's greetings right back at you, sweetheart. Thank you so much for being there for me. Ifeanyi Egbari, from way back, from NYSC days. Ifeanyi, thank you so much. I'm so thankful to Facebook and technology for reuniting us. I'm happy about that, Ifeanyi. Very excited. I decided to do today's own to kind of just reach back and go over the year in review. So our topic today is no topic per se. We're just going to touch on everything that we've talked about over the 6 months since I started doing these Facebook Lives. It's been a lot of Facebook Lives. I try to pick what I could. But of course, to watch everything, go to my YouTube channel. That's where all the videos are. So go subscribe. If you ever been on YouTube, is Ask Dr. Lulu. I'm the one and only. Okay? So go there and give a sister some love. Let me see. B. Michelle. Oh, wow. Okay. Also new in my circle. Thank you so much for joining in. Ifeanyi Adobingoko from way back-ish. Thank you, Your Royalty, Your Royal Highness. Good afternoon and welcome to Ask Dr. Lulu. Today's edition is going to be basically the year in review. So I'm going to start by our very first topic, which was Ifeanyi, me too, girlfriend. Yes, sister. Yes, sister. Which was teens and depression and suicide. That was my very first episode. my inaugural episode, and I watched the video and I saw that I've grown so much in the 6 months, and just the quality, the message, of course, is still, but just me, I've kind of just blossomed, and I thank God for that. And it's you guys. You guys have been feeding me with the right feedbacks, and that's been kind of my mojo. So teens and depression and suicide. And on that episode, I talked about my patient, my very first patient, who we're going to call Micah, who essentially came to see me. His mother thought he was using drugs. She thought he was doing some bad things. I wanted to know why he was no longer hanging out with the family, no longer being, the son that she knew, and how she wanted me to check him to see if he was using drugs. And after talking with him, I told her, I said, ma'am, I don't need to check him for drugs. He's depressed, very depressed. And I remember she had told me, she said, depression, don't worry about it. I had depression when I was young. I did okay. He's going to be fine. That was in March. And on July 4th, 2008, during the family barbecue, he came out in the front yard and put a double barrel in his mouth and pulled the trigger. And that was my very first contact with depression and suicide. And I didn't make the connection then. That was in 2008. But over the years, through the Air Force and through the civilian life again, I realized I was getting more and more patients coming in, cutting, depressed, suicidal. And of course, in May of this year, I had the 8-year-old boy who attempted suicide twice. And that was when I started saying, maybe there's more to this. Maybe I need to look into this a little closer. And my son, my 14-year-old son, said, Mom, you probably need to start talking about that. So it's amazing how people plant seeds, and the seeds kind of grow and blossom. And here I am, a little oak tree. So give me some love, give me some hearts. Please give me all the love you can find in your heart. I need more of those today. And so that was my first topic. And I mentioned in that, that some of the signs of depression, the very first sign of depression is none, right? A lot of people are very good at acting and at hiding their emotions. And so sometimes it may not be very obvious. However, it may also be obvious, right? And so look out for that child who's sad all the time, who's kind of acting different from what they normally act like, who doesn't want to spend time with you or the family, or whose grades are dropping, whose friends are beginning to wonder where he is, why he doesn't want to hang out with them, things like that. The one child who is suicidal might start talking about death more, asking about dead relatives, asking about suicide. And of course, the child might also come out and say, Mom, I'm sad. I think I want my life to be over, or I just don't want to live anymore. One of the things as a pediatrician, one of the signs that comes to me in the office is they come in with symptoms of pain or headache or leg pain or whatever that's not going away. That specifically is one of the main reasons I start checking for depression, because I'm like, wait, this child always has this particular symptom, and a lot of times it's during the school week. And on the weekends they're otherwise okay, but on the weekdays they don't want to go to school. They have truancy big time, things like that. Of course, they can always start abusing drugs. There's a lot of substance abuse issues in depressed kids, depressed teenagers, depressed adults. And then I mentioned in that first video, one of the things you don't ever want to say is, hush your mouth, child. You don't really mean it. You're not really going to do it. That kid is not worth it, or whatever. Don't ever say that. What you want to say is, I hear you. How can I help? How can I be of service? And one of the things you can also do is you can also ask your child, come out and ask them, do you feel like hurting yourself? Do you hurt yourself? Do you feel like maybe you don't want to be here anymore, or like the world is better off without you? You can go around or you can go direct, whatever you choose. You know your child, you know your kid, you know the things you can say to your kid. Hopefully you do, because I do notice that a lot of parents don't really know their kids. In this era of technology, a lot of parents are not connecting with their kids anymore. And that may be a big issue, okay? So that's that for that. And then we talked about bullying in children, period. 6 signs parents should know about bullying. And one of the biggest ones about bullying is your child coming home from school, with a different mood than they went to school with. 1, 2, they might come home from school with scratches and bruises, and you're wondering, wait, what's going on? Or they might come home from school hungry, and it's like, wait, didn't you eat your lunch? Maybe their lunch is being stolen by the bully, So those are one of the few things. Bullies also tend to perpetuate the behavior as time goes on. So it's one of those gifts that keeps on giving. No queremos esto. So as much as possible, when a child is being bullied, is a big, big public health issue, because they also can grow up to become depressed and, of course, suicidal. And many, as we've looked at over the weeks of my Facebook Lives, many a child who has had issues with bullying end up with suicide. We talked about the little girls from Alabama a couple of weeks ago, how both of them were independent of each other. Both of them were bullied big time. And then the one girl, Miss Adams, actually had text messages from 9-year-old telling her to go ahead and kill herself, calling her bitch, and telling her, why don't you just die, and things like that. Things that I can't even imagine coming out of an adult's mouth, but are coming out of 9-year-olds' mouths, which is why I said to you, and I was pissed that day, I said, parents, raise your kids better. You know, we cannot be petting this topic. It's not a fun topic to talk about. Trust me. You need to know who you're raising. What are you doing? What are your kids looking at you and seeing you do to make them want to do this to other kids? A 9-year-old girl telling another 9-year-old girl to go and die and kill yourself, and not good. So we talked about bullying. We also talked about, we had the How to Raise series. I think, to me, honestly, of all the things I've done so far, those 5 parts How to Raise series was my most fun to do. But we talked about how to raise well-rounded, productive, mentally stable children. And that was a 5-part series. If you haven't seen any of them, go back and watch them. Or better still, go to my YouTube page and subscribe, and you have free access to the videos. So let me see. Wow, nice. Welcome. And Tracy says, people are high functioning and the depression is easy to hide. That is so true. Absolutely. Some people are very high functioning. I know I hit my depression-ish as much as I could, but yes, true. And Ronke is here. Ronke actually joined us on time today, so that's good. Welcome, Ronke. So we're talking about the year in review. We're talking about the year in review, looking at some of the highlights of the 6 months since I started doing these videos. I think for me, like I was saying earlier on, the How to Raise series was my very, very favorite. And apparently there's a school in California, a social work school, who use my videos as part of their curriculum. So it's about time I get paid, right? But that's good to know. That's good to know. Let me see. Victor Dowda, hi. Stephanie Twitty, hey girl. Welcome. So the year in review is what we're talking about. So what are some of the things that I mentioned in my How to Raise series? How do you raise a well-rounded, productive, mentally stable child or teenager or young adult who will be resilient enough to not fall into all the demons that are constantly pulling at them? So some of the things we talked about are self-esteem, big deal, right? A big deal. If a child has poor self-esteem, they will fall into the hands of peer pressure. True talk. So, but I think one of the first things I always mentioned in those series was the most important thing about raising a child is you exemplifying the behavior, and therefore as the mirror through which the child looks at the world, you as a parent need to get your own self, where it needs to be. You need to get your act together. You need to be resilient. You need to be confident. You need to be considerate. You need to have empathy. You need to have compassion. You need to have all of those traits you want to instill in your child. You must exemplify. So teaching your child to fail forward, which is a big deal. You know me, when I die, I'd rather fail than regret. So absolutely, fail forward is a big deal now. Learn how to fail forward as a parent so you can instill that in your child. It's okay to fail. If you don't succeed the first time, pick yourself up and try again. Don't stop. Try again. Keep trying. But just don't give up. And most importantly, don't leave those things you want to do, because you only regret those risks that you fail to take. So give me some love, y'all. I love it. Other things we talked about was perseverance, teaching your child to be perseverant, to persevere, to be persistent, and also to be independent, to be mindful, to have that mindset of independence and not being able to fall into the hands of, yes, it will come in the form of peer pressure, in the form of all kinds of stuff out there. So teaching your child to be mindful, that was a big one. We also did a show, I think one whole show on just being mindful. Ijoma, hi girl, welcome to the building. We're talking about the year in review. We're going over the things that we discussed in the past 6 months. And also I'm thanking you as I go for being there, for being part of my tribe, being part of my family, being part of my extension. I did mention that everyone who is a talker needs a good listener. So thank you all so much. I do not take that for granted. The fact that you all are always here every Sunday afternoon. There are many more things you could be doing, but you choose to spend, I don't know, 30 minutes to 45 minutes on Sunday afternoon with me. I love it. I love it. Let's keep it going. We talked about teaching your kids to be consistent, you yourself being consistent in all you do, teaching them to be self-reflective. That was another big thing that we talked about. And then we talked about teens and telephones. I thought that was another favorite one for me. We talked about how I personally in my home do random phone checks on my kids, how we're supposed to put the phones away about 10 o'clock, how we keep how to hold your phone really like this versus like that so that your neck is spared. We talked about how studies have found in children as young as 7 years of age now have C-spine stenosis changes from doing that all the time. We talked about that. We mentioned some resources, some websites where you can get some apps for you parents, so some apps where you can use to check on your kids and know where they've been and what they're doing, and also some apps that help you just manage your screen time. And I was so excited because I think for the iPhone users anyway, I know my phone recently, I think one of the updates tells you how many hours you spent on screen time. I thought that was really, really neat. So I use an iPhone, and I don't know if it's on the Android, but that was very good. So you can actually monitor your screen time, which is great. We talked about effective communication with siblings. That was another good one. I used a fake family. I used The Simpsons, and I think it was Lisa that had attempted suicide. And so we kind of talked through how to communicate with Bart and the baby Maggie. How do you tell the siblings? How do you introduce this topic of your sister just trying to commit suicide? How do you introduce that topic? How do you bridge the gap? How do you handle their insecurities? And of course, while as a parent being afraid and being scared and worrying about the child who just attempted suicide, how do you pull it off? And so that was one of my funner, but also deeper, because a lot of times we forget the siblings, or the siblings feel invisible and feel forgotten. And I also remember that those siblings can also copy the behavior when they figure that, you tend to pay attention more to one sibling. The others might want to copy and, and do what the other one is doing. So that's another thing that I talked about. I thought that was a fun one. If you haven't watched that, please do. If you're just joining me, I am appealing today, nicely of course, to please go to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I had one person already say they were going to do it, Miss Ellis. So the rest of you who are watching me, I don't want to put a hate message. I don't think it's necessary, but please give a sister some love. Okay, 25 subscribers is not a lot. Okay, it's not a lot. I have about almost 1,000 likes on my Ask the Lulu page. I would like that many for my poor little YouTube channel, and of course for my baby, my love, my heart, my blog. I could use some more subscribers. So if you don't know, my blog is Words by Black Butterfly. Just Google www.wordsbyblackbutterfly.org or something.com. And then, of course, my YouTube channel is Ask Dr. Lulu. Samaila Bello, oh my goodness. This is really, really an awesome episode. I'm getting some people from way back joining me in the fun today. Samaila, welcome. Mary Tinsley, awesome, awesome girl. That's one of my patient's grandmothers. Welcome, welcome. Take a seat. Invite your friends. If you know anyone who has a child, who has a teenager, who might learn a thing or two from yours truly, invite them and share the video, okay? So we also talked about teens and vaccines. Controversial topic, I know. But listen, I'm a momatrician. There's no way I'm not going to talk about teens and vaccines, okay? I am also a vaxxer. I received my flu shot. Yes, ma'am, I did. And y'all need to. And I vaccinated all of my kids, including my sons, against HPV. Yes. HPV is a relatively newer vaccine in the building. Over 20 years is relatively new, okay? So, I mean, technically that's old. But it is what I call my seat belt vaccine. My seat seatbelt vaccine. In other words, before you start driving, you put your seatbelt on in case of you get in a wreck, right? Before your child becomes sexually active, you want them to get their HPV shot. And so we start giving those at the age of 9, between 9 and 11. I start at 11 in my office, in my practice, because they also get a bunch of other shots at 11. They're middle school shots. But you can start as early as 9. So yes, of course, I'm going to talk about vaccines. Are you kidding me? So yes, absolutely. And I think I had fun with the antibiotic episode. That was a fun one. And that was called Parents, Does Your Child Really Need Those Antibiotics? I'm going to take a second to talk about that. You know, and at least in America, for those of you who don't know, I also do telemedicine. It's one of the things that I do, which I love. And one thing that I noticed, a very common thread, is a lot of my parents who call in are thinking that because their child's mucus is green, or because the child has had a fever, or wait, because it's been going on for about 4 or 5 days, it's time for an antibiotic. No, it's not. And so I'm very big to talk about that. And so if you don't know me yet, I am definitely anti-antibiotics when it comes to misuse or overuse. Yes, sir, you can quote me on that. The majority of the infections your kids are having are viral infections. That is the truth. They are viruses. They're not, you don't need an antibiotic for that. And so please, if you're going to call me, you're going to know that I'm going to tell you that, ma'am, no, I don't think your child needs an antibiotic. Your child is going to get better. And that fever is going to get better. Actually, it's a sign that your child's body is fighting the infection. So yes, absolutely. And another thing is, yes, we take antibiotics, but they have side effects. They're not without side effects. So they're not just benign. You're not just getting an antibiotic, it has its own side effects. And Alexander Fleming, the gentleman who discovered antibiotics, was the one who even said it himself, that what will be us if we now end up misusing it or overusing it to the point that the little bacteria become resistant. Let me tell you, you don't want that. And so what I did with that episode was empower my parents to go out and ask your provider next time they want to give your child an antibiotic. Ask your provider, does my child really need that antibiotic? Because my doctor, or better still, Dr. Lulu, said we should ask you if they really need that antibiotic. And so that way you can be a little bit in control of what's going on with your child. So absolutely. So Stephanie wants to know if I did an episode on ADD, on ADHD. Stephanie, excellent question. You know what? I have not done an episode on ADD and ADHD, one of my favorite topics, but I do plan on doing it. I had about, when I did a call for topics, I had about 36 topics. And so I try to touch each one every week. And so I haven't gotten to ADHD and ADD only because other things have been coming, especially bullying and depression and suicide have been coming. So I haven't done that, but that is definitely on the radar for 2019. Thank you. What a great topic. What a great topic. What a great question. However, if you go to, not my, you know what, I'm going to upload that. Dubem, remind me to do that. Dubem is my little son. He's my engineer and my everything. And he is the reason I'm doing this. I am going to upload a video that you might want to watch, Stephanie. If you go to YouTube and type in MD Live or something. Anyway, go to YouTube and type in Ask the Expert /ADHD/ something. You know what? I don't remember, but I do have a video out. We were on TV. It was like a show in October, because apparently October is ADHD Awareness Month. From last October, I think, I had an interview that was done about ADHD. I think it was pretty good, but I will upload that. Thank you so much for that question. I will upload that video onto my YouTube page and maybe even my blog, so you guys can watch it. But I promise you, I will do something on ADHD next year. And it may very well be my first topic next week. Who knows? Who knows? Because it's Apple, and it's the first letter in the alphabet, so we could start with that one. But yeah, so I might do that. We talked about gynecomastia in males because I had a patient that came and asked about that, and I thought that was really neat, that they wanted to know if the breasts that they were discovering on their chest, was it real? Were they going to have breasts? And I enjoyed I enjoyed that topic. So if you haven't seen that and if you have questions about that, you can also look that up. Okay, that was a fun shoot. We had self-breast exams. Oh, I know what happened. It was the month of October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month this year. So we try to do some breast themes. So after the gynecomastia one, I also did the self-breast exam in females, and I thought that was a fun one. And I also mentioned how boys should also check their breast because yes, boys do also get breast cancer. Papa, can you give me this, please? So yes, that's one of the things that we talked about. And we talked about school shootings. I thought that was a fun, the werewolf. I thought that was a fun thing to discuss. That was a fun one to discuss, the school shootings. And what happened was they had that shooting in the synagogue. And so that kind of triggered that topic for me. And I mentioned school shootings because, of course, mostly they're teenagers and other students, the actual population that I represent, who do carry out most of the school shootings, except in Sandy Hook, where it was an adult. Most of them have been school shootings in school children. And when I did my research, I found out that almost 90% of the children who have carried out successfully school shootings have been bullied. So I noticed that that was the thread, the common thread. And I was very happy to find that out because, you know, I talk about bullying. And so I was happy to find out that most of the kids, not happy, when I say happy, please understand, I was not happy for the school shooting, but I was happy to see that bullying was behind a majority of them. And so I could, you know, reiterate the need to handle bullying in our lives, in our days, in our homes, in our schools, at church, wherever you are, to address bullying with your children, because indeed bullying can and does lead to school shootings, which, as you know, is devastating and just a big public health menace, you know. So I was happy to talk about that. And then we talked about it. We had an episode on just plain addiction. I thought that was fun. It was an overview of addiction. And then the next one was opioid addiction specifically. And yes, I mentioned Melania Trump. Oh. Because, you know, that is her platform, and because she had what do you call it, a town hall meeting at one of the fancy schools, I think it was Princeton, and had discussed some points that I actually agreed with, you know. And so we talked about opioid epidemic. And you know what? I'm one person that, even if I don't like the person, but their message is coming out true and correct, I'm going to give them a shout out because, you know, knowledge is power. So I talked about school shootings, and I talked about addiction, and I talked about opioid addiction. And I want to say last week we talked about raising LGBTQIA kids, just call them LGBT kids, LGBTQ kids. And I talked about what parents should do, what parents should not do, how they can handle this, how they should first and foremost love their kids regardless. Love your kids. Try to understand that which you do not understand, rather than being afraid of it and then put your child in harm's way. We discussed how one of the fastest growing population of kids committing suicide are LGBTQ kids. And of course, I have to talk about it because it's suicide, you know? And I blame the parents for letting that go in the home and not loving your kids enough. And these kids are ending up on the streets doing drugs and everything else that, you know, HIV is big in that community because a lot of them have kind of gotten the wrong information, you know, sexual abuse, molestation, all of the societal ills that we talk about, including bullying and even homicide. A lot of kids who are LGBTQ are being killed by other people. Oh yeah, that brings me to Nigeria. You know what? I'm going to talk about Nigeria and LGBTQ another day, because there's apparently a law to like put them in jail and or kill them. This is about as backward as it gets. Yes, I said it. It's about as backward as it gets. As a mother of an LGBTQ kid, shame on anybody who thinks that it's okay to kill your child, or even anybody, period, because of that. Shame on you. Okay? And then in between, we had a few other topics during the week. One of them was the little girl that had committed suicide, and I had to mention it that afternoon. That was a very special one, and I thank you for the feedback. That was very well received. And then I had one Friday morning, I had a plea. I think I cried in that one when the 12-year-old boy had committed suicide in Jordanton, which is a town down the street from San Antonio. And just overall, just anything that happens that knocks out my planned event, I throw in and I discuss it on that day. So those were the topics that we've discussed so far. Listen, I'm going to go back and say once more, a big, huge, ginormous, resounding thank you to everyone who's made it possible for me to have this past 6 months a success. I think I only skipped one weekend because I actually was completely aphonic that weekend. I couldn't speak. I had no voice, so I couldn't do a Facebook Live. Otherwise, I've tried not to miss them. So if you're just joining me for the first time, if you don't know, every Sunday at 2 p.m., whatever time it is where you are, it's time for Ask Dr. Lulu. And if you're Central Standard Time, it's 2 p.m. A few things I'm going to mention before I let y'all go. We will be doing more of these Facebook Lives. You guys that are on my regular page, you're giving me not much choice than to continue on my regular page. I was going to try to switch them to my Ask Dr. Lulu page more, but I'm getting so much love from my regular page that I don't know what to say. Hi, Jimmy. What's going on? Geraldine, my cousin. Wow. Awesome. Hey, girl. Felicia Arrington, my girl. Dorothy Batuta. Nenengweke. Jimmy, yes. Hi. Thank you guys for the love. Thank you so much for the love. So this is basically the end of it. But before I let y'all go, you all have a wonderful, 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 prosperous new year. Take in all the love you can get because there's so much hate outside. We're going to come back next year bigly. I will have my first, well, my second or third or fourth radio interview, but my very own radio show, yes, sir, beginning January 29, I think. The last Monday in January. Okay. So it's going to be the last Monday of every month. Okay. And I think it's 1 p.m. Eastern. So 12 noon Central. But you know what I'll do? I'll put a special shout out for the stations because I don't know all the stations. I have 3 FM stations. Yes. Yours truly. Who knew? 3 FM stations. And so that's the radio show. My blog, Wars by Black Butterfly. If you're watching me right now, yes, take a minute, go subscribe, please, and read my blog and make a comment. I love hearing from you guys. Also, my YouTube channel, y'all. I'm about that YouTube channel. I'm only at 25 subscribers. Come on now, give a sister some love. So go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go and subscribe to my my blog. And listen out for my radio show. I'm going to put a blast. I'm going to actually talk to Sita today so I can, it's going to be on Sita with Friends. And for those of you who have heard, I am coming out with my podcast, yes, in the spring. Only because I graduate in the spring and I want to wait until I graduate to focus on that. But it's going to be called, I didn't want to put the name out, but I'm going to put it out. It's going to be called Suicide. Yes, it's going to be called Suicide. Let's talk about it with Dr. Uchenna Ume. Oh, I think it's going to be Suicide. Let's talk about it with Uchenna Ume, MD. That's it. So that's the name of my podcast. I am so excited. I put out a call for people for anybody who wanted to be a guest. And let me tell you, I was looking for 20 people. I got 56, okay? So excited, so excited. Next year, I'm also going to be going to Canada, as you know, and I'm going to be going to India, and I'm going to be going to Nigeria. I'm going to be talking to people. So I'm going to become an international keynote speaker. This is so exciting. All in the space of 6 months. And let me tell you, it's been so fulfilling. So thank you all so much for always being there for me. If you have any questions, holla at your girl. Tracy says, very informative. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you so much. Veronica Garris, well, you know what? Better late than never. We're just finishing up, but, better late than never. If you're just joining me for the first time ever, every Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m., I'm going to be here talking. Next Sunday, however, I will be in Singapore, and I'm not sure about I think they're 9 hours or 14 hours ahead. So I'm not sure what the jet lag and all of that is going to do to me and where I'm going to be at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll let you all know as I get closer when I know the timing better. But next Sunday and for the next 2 weeks after that, I'll be in Singapore. So I'll let you guys know how the timing is going to be, because I don't know. I don't know what it is. I've never been to Singapore before, but I'm excited. I'm excited. So Amanatu Suleiman, welcome, sweetie. Welcome, everyone. And then, of course, goodbye. I will see you all next Sunday, God willing. Next year, God willing. By the grace of God, I'll be able to pull it off from Singapore. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like. I'm going to Vietnam first, then Singapore. So I'll be in Vietnam next Sunday and Singapore the Sunday after, I think. So anyway, either way, I'll see you all next Sunday with another exciting topic. And you know what? It might very well just be ADHD. So if you have any questions, let me know. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube page, listen, I'm not playing. Go subscribe. It's called Ask Dr. Lulu. I have all my videos there, so you can go back as much as possible and watch it. You don't have to be on the Facebook Live to see them, because they're all going to be there. On that note, I'm going to have to say goodbye. Thank you all so much. Enjoy your New Year's. Yes, absolutely. Tracy, much needed topics. Thank you. Enjoy your New Year's. Join me on the flip side of the year, 2019. And I think we're going to kick it off with ADHD. Thank you, Stephanie McLaughlin, girl, I don't know how to say your last name. But thank you so much for that suggestion. ADHD is like my bread and butter. I love it. But if you want to prep yourself for the talk, go ahead and check out my YouTube channel. I'm going to upload that video right now. It was an interview for the TV that was done last year. It was MD Live or something, Ask the Expert. But anyway, I will see you all next Sunday, okay? Thank you so much. God bless you. Keep being good. Keep being kind to yourselves and each other. Practice empathy and practice compassion, and you'll be just fine, okay? Peace out. Bye. I think that went well.